Somebody's practicing piano or something, huh? Back there, Kurt?
Yeah, my wife teaches some lessons in the evenings, and so that's why
nice.
I will be on mute most of the time unless I speak, unless you want to hear it.
Practiced that song myself many years ago.
Hi, Kim.
Good evening.
Got a couple more coming on.
Hello.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey,
Hi,
Deb.
Dennis.
Kelly, I just sent you a way last minute email. I don't know if you're in your email, if you could forward.
I just saw it. Yes, I will.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Dennis.
All right, we are ready to go, Kevin, whenever you're ready.
Great. I think we have a quorum. So I'll call the meeting to order, and if everyone could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America,
and to the republic,
the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and
liberty
justice.
and justice for all.
Okay. Kelly, could you help us through the roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Helt,
He is here.
Commissioner Daughtry,
Here.
Commissioner Tagent, Commissioner Hayden,
Here.
Commissioner McLarnon,
Here.
Commissioner McCurdy, Commissioner Welch,
Here.
Commissioner Frederick.
He's trying to log on right now.
Okay. Commissioner Rasmussen
Here.
and Commissioner Ives.
Here.
Great.
Okay, does anyone want to make a motion to excuse the commissioners who aren't here?
This is Kurt. I'll make a motion to excuse commissioners that are absent.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, great. Kelly, is there anyone in the meeting room for public comment?
No, there is not.
All right, then we'll move along to the minutes of December 6th. Has everyone had a chance to review them? And if so, does anyone want to make a motion to approve or amend?
I'll make a motion to amend them and include me as present.
Sorry about that, Commissioner Helt.
That's okay. The rest of it was accurate and it quoted me in a couple spots, and just I noticed I was absent from the top of it.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Excuse me. Moving on to the discussion items. The first item I have on the agenda. Oh, I guess we should. Do we have to approve the agenda for tonight? I guess we should have done that as well. Do we do that? Do we have to do that in this group?
I don't think you typically do that, but you're welcome to.
No, if it's not a formal practice, I'm happy to move right along.
Okay.
So the first item is the next coffee clatch on January 15th. Is there any, I guess the question I would have is, given where we are with the spread of the virus right now, are we still thinking of having an in-person meeting, or is that a worthy thing of discussion, or what other discussion is there?
I don't think there would be anything wrong with maybe holding off a month. they're kind of saying things are supposed to start, well, Sean's not here. Maybe he has a better.
So I was gonna
Tomorrow
jump in
night,
on
there you
that.
go.
Yeah, so a recommendation would be that we do not have it in person, based on the Omicron that's around. It's a lot more contagious, although we're not seeing a lot more folks in the hospital. It still seems to be easier to catch than the previous. And so the recommendation is that we hold off on that. They're actually saying that we won't even see the peak of this until probably around mid-February. So probably should hold off for a couple months.
Thanks, Samara. Any other thoughts or discussion?
I think we could probably use the next few months to try to figure out how to garner some more activity and membership to the Coffee Klatch. We've had great conversations, but there's just been a very small amount of people there. The few people that have joined besides our members here with the council or with the commission have been great, but there's just been a few. So it'd be nice to try to figure out some way to try to push it out some more. I've pushed it out on Facebook, but not everyone's on Facebook. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see us posted on the city website. I don't know that in and of itself is going to do anything, but the more exposure like that we can get, the better. But certainly there's no need to post it if we're not going to hold it in January. One other question to the group. In the past, we tried to do it virtual, and I think the consensus was that's not worth it. Is that, I see people violently shaking their heads, so I'm just wanted to confirm that. Okay, is there anything else?
The most we've ever had, I think, is 3 people.
Yeah.
We had a lot more with the War Memorial, at the War Memorial setting. We had a lot more, but
Yeah.
in regards to having it indoors, probably about 3. Once we start heading into March, we can start, we can go back to maybe start doing something outside. We have that undercover area at the park that I had talked to Kelly about that would be available to us to use. Once we start getting to spring, that might be more of an option, especially if people are still hesitant to be inside unmasked with other people. Doing it in an outside location, I think would help people be more comfortable with joining.
Okay, any more discussion on this item? Okay, so moving on to the next item, the 2022 work plan. What I'd like to do is, I think we'll be spending most of the meeting on this topic, and as I thought about this, really, I think it's an opportunity to first talk about it as our work plan, and then we'll format it to present it to the council. But it's a good opportunity for us to sort of step back as a group and say, are we working on the things that are what we want to be working on and what we should be working on, and do we have our priorities in the right place? And if not, where do we need to adjust? I think everyone's probably had these kind of meetings, and the format that the company I worked for used to use was called Start, Stop, Continue, where you really think of all the things you're doing in those 3 contexts. Are there things that are strategic to our mission that we should start doing that we aren't doing? Are there things we should stop doing that aren't helpful or maybe just aren't effective? And what are we doing right? Are there things that we should continue doing that are core and we want to make sure we don't lose sight of? So with that, we have this document that we prepared last June, and I sent a first pass update out. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to see it.
Kevin, would you like me to pull it up?
Yeah,
Or-
that might work. There's 3 pages to it, and the first page I think is very, it's a summary page. I've added some, I think, an important concept to that page, which I'd like us to spend some time talking about, and that is for each of the things that we agree are important that we're going to do, I'd like to see us establish one or more members that are willing to say, like, I'm responsible for helping to drive this thing. That way, when we come to our meetings to talk about, what's going to happen at the next coffee clatch, we know that at least someone's been thinking ahead about that and bringing the discussion to the group. So if you could actually back up one page, Kelly, to the top page. Yeah. So you'll see in blue throughout this document is essentially my thoughts, right, for discussion that we need to change or adopt or delete or whatever today. And the first part, what's on this page, I would not propose showing to the council. This is for us internally. But my thought here, again, in this context of start, stop, continue, if we've got initiatives that no one really wants to be responsible for, to me, it asks the question, well, should we really be doing this? Or are we doing it even? And then conversely, if we have things that, everyone wants to be responsible for, and we probably need to, think about how we distribute the load. So my first pass at this was, there's 10 initiatives, one of which is close to being done. It should have been done, but I dropped the ball on it, the Purple Heart stuff. So hopefully, there's people that are interested in each of these things that would say, yeah, I want to work on that. Okay, I feel like I'm probably beating a dead horse here. So let me stop and just say, what I would ask you guys to do, the next page is the detail. But as we go through the detail, I think it would be helpful for people to say, like, yes, I want to be the guy leading this or the woman leading this, or no, take my name off of that. I never signed up for that. And as we go to the next meeting, then I would hope that the people who sign up for these things would be leading the discussion as we review each of our initiatives, or if they, whether we need help or we've got some event coming up or whatever the case may be. So let me pause there. Does that first make sense? And also, is there anyone who violently objects to this approach? And welcome, Sean. Okay, you guys will learn that I'm going to take silence means that you violently agree, unless I hear something different. So let's go to page 2. So the detail of our initiatives, it will come out on 2 pages, and I'll prep this to say, I ended up reworking these a little. Kurt and I met and talked, and last year in June when we presented this, I had kind of grouped them, just trying to think of what the common thread was. And in talking this over with Kurt, we kind of came back to, there were really kind of 3, I guess, the 3 legs of the stool that's been described as of what is our mission. And, one is to engage, facilitate veteran engagement, right? Have things where veterans can use their expertise to engage in the community. And there's a whole bunch of things where we're going to try to connect the veteran with the service or the resource that's already out there. We don't offer it necessarily, but we can be that connection point. And then the third is on the next page, which was a general increased community awareness of what the veterans need. So I hope I got those right. First, I'll pause to checkpoint. And then I tried to align the initiatives under what I thought where they best fit. So as we go through this, please, this needs to be our document, right? So if anything you see doesn't look right, or, now's the time we want to change it, because over the next 2 meetings, we want to finalize this up and present it. Okay. Anyone want to jump in before I start to, my thought is we'll just go through these one at a time, starting with the way they are on the page.
That's good.
Okay, the adopt the highway. I think it's worthy to both be in the community doing something, but also see if we can't get some veterans out to help. And I indicated earlier that I would be willing to help on that initiative a little bit and see if we can't find a way to add to the help that we need. Now, I understand there's only, you can only supposedly take 10 at a time. They don't want a big exposure of a lot of people along the highway, I suppose. But even then, if we had 4 veterans that come out would like to help and too many others, we could always break them into 2 groups or do something different. So that's something that needs to be looked at.
So I totally agree, Vern. Let me take what you just said and dump it into 2 pieces. First, I heard you volunteer to be responsible in this area, so I like that. And so I'm putting your name there. And Samara, let me just point to you, just because this was sort of your brainchild. So is this also an area you want to continue to, I'll say be responsible for lack of better words?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So then, Vern, to your other point, I would suggest, like my thought, of how this would work is that you and Samara would work those kind of things, right? Like we kind of said we can't do it in the cold weather, so maybe we do it twice a month in the good weather, and we engage people, and I would hope you guys could bring those thoughts to us for discussion of when and how and all that good stuff.
That'd be correct. I would think those are some of the items that we'll have to decide on and discuss. So yeah, that'll be good.
Okay, and I'm hoping this works. So again, stop me if you guys are uncomfortable at all. So I see Samara with the thumbs up. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so what I did here under the status column, this is new, right? We weren't doing this the last time we presented. So I thought first I would just ask you guys, in particular, Vern and Samara, but really everyone, do you agree with these words of objective and status? And if not, then I think we can, let me back up too. From a runway point of view, I think we have a meeting in early February, and then we would want to present to the city council at the end of February. So we have one more meeting to finalize this. And Vern and Samara, I would suggest in particular, you guys think about it between now and the next meeting. And if there's words you want to add here for how we present it to the council, we have a little time to do that.
That's a good idea, but I'd like to see on the status that we actually did have one day that we went out, and we didn't make it down the whole road because it was just simply too much to do, but made a good start. And I think it would be good to have that under the status that we had at least one day now that we've been out.
Great. I'm making some notes, and as we go through this, I'll try to make notes and send an update, before maybe like in a couple of days, right? So everyone can see sort of where we are. And also as we go through these items and as people are picking responsibilities, you can feedback more changes.
Okay.
And Samara, I'll keep looking for the thumbs up or thumbs down, or jump in when you need to.
It's a thumbs up. Sorry, I was yelling at my kid.
Hey, Kevin, I can even give you, if you want to give an update of that one that we did, I've got the person count and the approximate bag count from what we actually accomplished that one day. So I can send that to you too.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next one. This one, again, this is the one I thought fit into that bucket. I'll give a few words around this. This one we put on hold, right? We met with the chief really, I think, a couple of months before COVID broke, and it was something that was going to happen, and then the training got canceled because of COVID. So I don't think there's anything for us to do except for maybe to check with the chief to see if this is an initiative that he's now going to kick off this year or is trying to. Let me pause. I don't know, Kim and Dennis, I don't want to put you guys under the spot, but I know back from those meetings, you guys were the ones that were going to go to those trainings. Have you heard anything else about this or?
I know that we had a subject matter expert out of Skagit County that was going to help us out. There's also training already with the Snohomish County Emergency Management. And we were going to talk with the police department to see how they wanted to do it, because it started out being the fire department until they merged with the big district. And now it's more local with the police department. I haven't heard much more since then, but I think there's materials we could start gathering and maybe get some class outlines going too. So I'd be willing to work on it.
Great.
And Kevin, if I recall, when you and I met, at least our consensus was that we were somewhat rebuffed as a commission by the city on this. And we're really kind of wanting some guidance from Chief Vso, as it would be him, if this is an area where he feels that the Veterans Commission would be a force multiplier and be able to help him. If that's the case, great. If not, then I guess that's the question we need to ask.
Right. That's what I recall too. And Kim, I think I saw you nod there that, so I think Dennis, maybe the action would be to reach out to the chief to see, does he want us to do this stuff or is it a different priority for him at this point?
Because there's other things too in emergency planning. We haven't done CERT yet, but we did do a Stop the Bleed course in 2019 that the Veterans Commission supported along with the police department. So we actually have done things with them in this arena before.
Right.
I guess my ask to them would be, how do we continue to go forward with the success that we had with Stop the Bleed? We've talked about CERT. There's other things out there as well. How can we help? So make it a little more broad than just the CERT program.
Yeah, it seemed to me at the time that there was a little bit of reluctance to have us going into the CERT, and everything seemed to be too hard, even though we got that person from Skagit, Dennis, that came down and said, no, we can do this. We can do this. It just seemed like the city side or the police department or fire department, it just seemed like it might've been too hard at the time for whatever reason. Then we went into COVID and we lost the bubble. So I think Kurt is absolutely right. We need to touch base with the police department and find out, hey, is this worthwhile for, do you want to continue to try to go this way? It's worthwhile. We all know it's worthwhile, but do you want to continue to do that with the Veterans Commission, or is there something else they're looking at? And I tend to recall a conversation with Chief Bezos not too long ago that I think paved the way for us to be able to continue this, but I don't recall the conversation who was involved in it.
Okay. Does anyone else, I don't know how to say this because I'm not trying to put people on the spot. I think, so I guess I'll say it once and try not to do it under every item. For any of these items, if it's something you're interested in, shout it out and I'll make a note so that we can keep track of this stuff. I've got Dennis's name down for this and Vernon Samara for the other one. So Kurt, backing up, I think I heard you say from the objective, it should be a little wider than just CERT. Maybe I don't know if I can call on you to throw some words together in an email or something that would help me fix that or think about it. Maybe we can iron something out.
Yeah, we can talk later in the week if you want.
Okay.
I mean, what you have written is perfect. It's I would just say that it's a little incomplete.
You have a nice way of letting me down. I love it. Okay. Those were the only two initiatives that to me were really about engaging the veteran into civic affairs. Now, there's other pieces of it, but I think, again, as we go through these, if you think I've miscategorized things, just shout it out. The bulk of what we were doing falls into, or what we are doing, falls into the next category of connecting veterans with services and opportunities and resources. So no real order here to these things. I guess it was the order that we had presented them before, pretty much. But I'll jump in on the newsletter since I've been kind of doing that. I'm happy to keep doing that. As I looked through this thing, I had myself assigned in multiple places. So one of the things I'm going to try to do is not be in so many places that I don't do anything well. And one of the things in conversation, this came up originally from Marcus, but it came up again when Kurt and I were talking the other day, is maybe this is an area where if no one else on the commission is really interested in doing this, that we could engage, see if the youth council is interested in helping us, publish a newsletter.
Speaking on behalf of the youth council, I think their plate would be a little bit too full right now to take that on, although we'll be having another meeting here on Thursday, we could find out. But that might be a little bit above what they could do right now. I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
I feel like it might be. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah. Okay,
good. I'm not on my normal system. But it seems like it might be, Kim, to your point, it might be a little much right now. They have the multi-youth council kind of planning effort ongoing, and that's really taking up a lot of their time, plus some of their internal initiatives. So, but to your point, we have a meeting Thursday. We can certainly talk to them about it and see where they are. But at the same time, they might have more zeal to engage in activities and they can effectively manage at this point. And I don't want to put them in that position either.
Yeah, the Sean and Kim, the reason that came to mind was this newsletter is the perfect type of thing for someone who wants to do it once and never do it again. Only because you often have churn in those circles where you get a group of people, they're engaged for a while, then they're not because a new group comes in. And this is the kind of thing where it's important communication tool for us. And it also, you really don't need someone writing from newsletter to newsletter to newsletter. You need someone to edit it and to manage it, but you can certainly have different people contribute.
Hey, Kevin, I was actually going to throw my name out to you on this one.
Okay, great. Yeah, and also one of the things I'll just throw out too that I guess I'll direct this to Kim and to Sean to think about with the youth council. You guys have brought it to us. One of the things in talking to Kurt about this is, how do I say this correctly? Even though I don't feel old, when I look in the mirror, I realize I'm not that 30-year-old guy anymore. So there's a whole generational thing of the people we're trying to reach that I don't know that we do a great job for reaching the younger part of our community. And so the youth council might be able to help us in some of those areas. So, this may not be the right fit, but if we can find help to reach, I kind of look at it as I rely on Samara to reach the under 40 crowd and a 35 crowd, or 30 crowd, whatever we want to call it. And that's probably unfair, right?
Well, I think you've got a good point, Kevin. I mean, I'm still only 28, so, but I think that we would be better pressed in finding some outgoing enlisted or officer candidates coming out of the military that could join us and help fill that void instead of having our youth council, which haven't quite reached that level yet. So 20 somethings that are coming out of the military with only 4 years or 6 years under their belt, that kind of thing. See if we can maybe take that tact and go actively search those types of people out, you know, by going over to the base and find out, well, who you got going out that lives in Lake Stevens, you know, that kind of thing, and see if we can figure that out. It might be better just to, hey, you know, you guys, you had a great time in the military. You want to help out the community if you're staying here, and try to help in that regard. Because you're right. We can reach the old timers, you know, Vietnam era and a little bit after that. But some of us are going to have a hard time relating to the younger. I mean, I don't even realize, I can't even think about what the Navy's uniform is anymore because they changed it so often. I see it. I don't even know it's Navy. So it's, you know, it's one of those things. But I think you're right. But I think a better tack would be to go to get somebody that's coming out. They would understand exactly what's going on.
Yep, great point. Okay, Deb, I'll circle with you on this. And I don't think we need to, I mean, to me, the wording is okay. The newsletter is something we're going to do forever. And we just need to make sure we're comfortable with it. I'm going to move on to the coffee clatch. So again, in blue, we just need to come up with some words. I think the words that were there in black were good initially. And now, you know, we need to come up with a sentence or two to give him as a status.
Okay, let me, I'll work on that. I think, I might reach out to Debbie on this one, but I'll work on it. We've had the conversations that we're having at the Coffee Clutch lately, and Dennis has been there and Vern has been there. Marcus was at the last one. Sean was, I think, at the last one. But the conversations that we're having are starting to get pretty deep into what's going on in the veteran community. So I think the coffee clatches are a good thing to do, and we can just change some of the, maybe a little bit, add a little bit more to your verbiage here. And they could go they can go just about any direction. I mean, what I remember when we had the one at the War Memorial, and we looked over and we saw that one person over by the mill just kind of hanging around, and you could tell that he was a little nervous or about something or whatever. And I went up and talked to the guy, and I'm telling you, that was heartbreaking, that we couldn't get him to come participate because he was just so much into his PTSD that he just couldn't break free. And so these kinds of things, and we've had a couple of other guys come in lately that, you know, they're reaching out. They're reaching out for camaraderie and things like that. So this, I think, is a very important, good step that we've taken in getting some people to come out. So the biggest deal about that is, you know, getting it promoted. It's all about the promotion of it. And how do we get it out to every place we can get it out? So we've got to be a lot better about promotion. And I can tell you that there's several organizations that need to be better about promotion. And so there's, you know, maybe we need to go put a flyer up at the base, for instance, you know, where everybody can see it. I don't know what the rules are on that, or we could go out to the commissary and that out there in Smoky Point and put up flyers about our coffee clatches and about the Veterans Commission, the Veterans Foundation, those kinds of things. Maybe we need to start reaching out to some old school type stuff. But as the coffee clatch, as its initiative, it is starting in January 2021. I think it's a great one. And yeah, it's had a hard time because of COVID, but it's actually working. When we're doing it in person, it actually works. So, and it's getting better and better. And the guys who were there last month, or I can't, you know, we'll be back, you know, that kind of thing. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm actually, Kim, Todd and I one day took a trip up to the Smoky Point commissary, and we got a bunch of contact cards for the different groups up there. And I was thinking about just starting to reach out to people out there and say, hey, we've got this going. How do you suggest we kind of get it promoted? So
yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. There was a ton of flyers there. Now I'm pretty sure they were all done there. but they had a ton of information. The only problem is there was a lot of dust on that information. So, but we got a lot of contact cards, and I figured that I'd just start kind of hitting up people and saying, hey, what do you suggest?
Well, one of the things that, in networking with people like that, there's two reasons to network with those types of people. And one of them is to understand what they're doing. If we understand what they are doing, then when we run across a veteran that has an issue that we know this person, well, I know I've seen this, you need to go talk to this person. And they're going to run into people at the same time. They need to understand what we're doing. And so it's a mutual understanding of what we're doing. We're not really looking for anything. We're not looking for help necessarily. We're just looking to understand what's out there for everybody, and each of us promote each of us type thing. That's one of those things that we need to do. So it's a great idea to pick those up, and we can start reaching out to those groups and or those people and saying, hey, what are you doing? And, how can we help? Or this is what we're doing, just so you know who we are. And this is what we're doing on the third Thursday or third Saturday of every month, and come on in and see us, that kind of thing.
So, so this is all good. And I think we're all in agreement that the Coffee Klatch is a key initiative that we need to keep doing. And Kim, I think it would be great if you and Debbie, want to brainstorm and come back to us and, how do we increase the communication? We might have, as we started before, a couple months to get that going. And for next meeting, we can just make sure we get the words right of how we want to present it to the council.
Okay.
Okay, Veterans Foundation. This is an interesting one because all four of the directors are also on the commission, right? So I put all four of you guys down as responsible, but that maybe wasn't fair. I guess I'd like to jump into, and I apologize for doing a lot of talking, but this came up in the last meeting and I didn't say anything, but there was discussion at that time. I think Kim brought it up of some conversation that happened at the Coffee Klatch about, whether people should be, specifically the council members should be focusing on the Veterans Foundation versus the Veterans Commission. If that was holding people back or whatever. There was a whole bunch of sort of thoughts there. And the one thing I think there's a consensus that we came out of, I think it was Samara made the point that was a very good one, that we certainly don't want to have a mass exodus of folks from the commission unless like it's really what people want to do. I think the council members, it's great to have that support. And I hope it wasn't, I know I was involved in one conversation at one point several months ago that I hope my statements weren't misconstrued to make people think that that there was a sentiment that they should not be on the commission, because that wasn't the case at all. I do think that we have a problem because the foundation isn't really often running, that there's often some confusion about the gaps and overlaps, I guess, between the two organizations. So when we went to the council before, and this is where I'm going with this, is if you look at the status here, this is from the June meeting of saying that the status was going to be for the Veterans Foundation to expand their board to increase independence. I don't know if I made that up. I didn't think I did at the time, but I don't think that's probably the case. So that status is probably not right. And at a minimum, I think I want to open it up to discussion of, I think we're trying to all help the foundation get going. So maybe of the four people, like there's a subset that would say, yeah, I want to focus on that part to help the foundation get going. I'm kind of running out of thought here and looking for you guys to jump in of how do we not throw the baby out with the bathwater, for lack of a better term, as we help the foundation to get going.
I'll jump in really quick. just to give my perspective, it's not so much a, for me, there's two things. One, I'm kind of tied since I submitted all the initial documents to create the foundation, but there's a capacity issue, right? There's only so many hours a day, and being on the commission, being on the foundation, and especially in the time of COVID, it's really problematic to move, to your point, a whole bunch of things forward well. And this new foundation, moving a nonprofit forward without dedicated foundation staff is incredibly difficult to begin with. So from that perspective, I would certainly support only being involved with one over the other. But the other part is that, the Veterans Foundation is a separate thing and almost needs to be maintained with a degree of separation from the commission conversation, because there is a requirement. If you have this nonprofit entity out here, even though there is this intent and purpose that it's going to fund this city activity, that separate business activity needs to have a barrier from this activity as the commission, which is clearly a municipal activity.
We have certainly had the conversations of late of the three council members stepping back away from the Veterans Commission. And as a matter of fact, part of that conversation was even today, where on tomorrow night, we are assigning duties and responsibilities to the council members. Kurt knows what this is all about. And it's, picking liaisons to meetings and things like that into different organizations. And one of the things we were thinking about doing is having the three councilmen step down and having just a liaison to the commission as normal for commissions. However, while we were sitting here, I texted to Kelly to find out, well, wait a minute, I might have just gone off the handle here. When is the three council members commissions actually up on this commission? When is our time up? And she just told me we got 2 years to go on our on our little time frame here. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not a quitter. I don't quit things very easily. So I'm probably going to rescind the fact that I might step away from the Veterans Commission. The other two are on their own on that one, and they can, discuss it with me as they like. We can, still have another, if they did, let's just say that Marcus and Sean decided to step away from the Veterans Commission anyway, and we would still have a liaison. They could be the liaison, or I could be the liaison. Doesn't really matter at that point. But I have talked about stepping away because I did feel, not because of anything that was said by any other commission member, this is just me feeling that maybe we were holding the commission back based on the conversations that we've had. It's like, it seems like I'm always talking like I am right now. And is that holding us back or not? I don't know. It's a tough one. However, in light of the date that I'm supposed to be on the commission, which is another 2 years, I'm not going to be saying, no, I'm not going to be on the Veterans Commission. It would take a little bit more than that to get me off the Veterans Commission, because I don't quit my responsibilities. So I am not stepping away from the commission tomorrow night. I'm just not going to do it. That's a separate issue that for tomorrow night anyway. It's not really an issue of which council members wants to be on the Veterans Commission. We're already assigned, and we're on that commission as a normal commission member. It has nothing to do with because we're on the council, especially if you look at the bylaws. So I'm not going to step down. I just made that decision in the last 10 minutes. So I'm still going to be there. I'm not, that doesn't mean I'm not putting any pressure on either Commissioner Frederick or Commissioner Tagent either way. But I'm not going to step down. So that's the way I feel about it. Veterans Commission is doing some great things. We have a long ways to go. The Veterans Foundation, I think Sean is right. I don't even think we should mention this on our report to the council. We started it. It's its own entity. We've got 4 people on it. Yeah, great. We need to go off and and make good of that. Maybe we need to change some of the people that are on it. And, we need to definitely go out and find people to get on it. But we need people to, we need to find those veterans anyway. That's the commission can find the people and say, oh, by the way, here's an opportunity for you. There's lots of opportunities out there that we should be able to tell the veterans that we find that they could get involved in. We've already got a couple of them. Debbie, I think we got a couple of them that said they wanted to get involved with the foundation. So that's ongoing, and that's great. But I really don't think we should say much to the council other than the commission decided to start a foundation. We started the foundation, it's done, and it's on its own. And then we don't need to report on it anymore.
Right. So that's a good point. Let me just, let's focus on that point for a second, that this would essentially, we could as a closing status, and rather than an ongoing target, we would say it's complete. From a commission point of view, the foundation is launched.
Yeah, we got the bylaws, we have a bank account, we have executive committee. We're in trouble with the IRS. So yeah, we're obviously a foundation because we're in trouble with the IRS already.
And the Secretary of State.
Oh, did you do that?
I will.
Okay. So anyway, an update is we got our taxes back. I have them right here in front of me. For some reason, we messed up. I messed up. I'm the treasurer. And what I messed up was I mailed it to them, and it's not allowed.
Oh.
Yeah, I mailed it to them in May. I got it back on December 24th. And I have 10 days to respond with a $20 per day fine. We don't even have that much in the bank. So it's like, okay. And then I did go
I
on
believe
to
we
do it.
have at least $101 in the bank.
Yeah, we have 300 and something in there. But I went back online to do it digitally like they wanted me to do, and their system is shut down. It's like, the heck with you people. I'm not going to worry about it. So anyway, I think that's what we ought to do with the foundation. I think you're right.
Tim, I appreciate your comments on your position on staying on the commission, and why. I would also encourage council members Frederick and council members Tagent to certainly they need to make a decision based on their bandwidth and what they need to do. But I would encourage them not to resign simply because they're council members. If they need more time to do other things, that's certainly respectable, and we appreciate that. And Samara makes a good point. Losing 3 influential council members out the commission in mass would be disruptive, send a bad message, and it would create a void as well. So I would encourage you not to, unless there's personal reasons where you need to do that.
Hey, Kim, can I ask a quick clarifying question?
Yeah.
So you've made comment before that the liaisons are normally a fly on the wall. Could you still be on the commission and be a liaison?
Well, not in the traditional sense of the liaison, no. You couldn't do that because the liaison is actually not supposed to participate.
That's what I wondered. Okay.
However, in this particular case, we've been acting as the liaison anyway. And I don't think that they're going to be splitting hairs about that tomorrow night. So
okay.
Depending on, it could be tomorrow night just status quo, and we don't even mention it, other than the fact that, it comes up, it is on the sheet of paper, I believe, and okay, we're there till the end of 2023. So it shouldn't be an issue. I mean, there's no other veterans on the thing that we're going to want to do it anyway, and I can't see some of the others that want to get involved with. No, there's other things to be involved in, like the health department, things like that.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering if by chance any of the other council members didn't want to stay on, maybe transition to the foundation, that they might be a liaison. I just didn't know how that worked.
Well, that's how it's supposed to work. The liaison is supposed to be the fly on the wall, supposedly bring reports back to the council on the meetings. And they do, they're not very robust reports. They just kind of give us a down and dirty of what's happened at the last meeting, conversations, what the subjects are. We do report the Veterans Commission. All three of us usually say that, we went and this is what's been discussed. So I think if we just went business as usual, we'd be fine.
Yeah.
So just want to jump in to say twice in the last couple of, say 5 minutes, I've gotten, my video's frozen and I've gotten the unstable internet connection. So currently streaming is going well off Rodero Drive. So Kurt, we may need you to jump in if you guys, if I'm non-responsive, that's why.
Yeah, I'll be there. Just let me know, whatever date it is, that's fine.
Okay. Could you move, Kelly, could you move us on to the next page? Yeah, thanks. I think
Kevin, real quick before we go, so then for the completion target on that last one, you're going to put completed.
Yeah, I'll send it up as a refresh for everyone to see. But my sense was that we will call this completed, and I'll put a sentence in the status to say something to the effect of, the board's launched and the foundation. They won't report on their own. They're a thriving organization at this point.
Yeah, we're thriving, all right.
Getting all kinds of attention. Okay, so the next item, I want to read the objective because I have a feeling this is one that people need to think about. I think I've got it right, but it certainly wasn't my understanding when I first joined. And because really, this is saying that our objective on the VSO is to partner with an organization, and really we're going to facilitate space for that organization to come in and provide VSO services. So I know we're going to talk about the VSO in a follow-up item as soon as we finish with this. And that's why I'm calling this out, because if that's not our objective, I think we want to, not right now, but in the next agenda item and in the next meeting, flesh that out as to what the revised objective should be.
Okay, so this objective came down from when we first got on the commission. One of the things that we were slated to do was find a space for the Veterans Commission to have offices, et cetera, in order to do things like the VSO. So this particular objective is the true objective that we were given.
Right.
We have morphed that into the conversation we'll have at the end of this, where we're trying to get our own VSO, but they would probably be in this office. So if you wanted to talk about this, it is ongoing as the way that this is written, but the building right now is being built.
Yeah, but I'm gonna stop you for a sec, Kim, and
Okay.
let's save that conversation to the next agenda item.
Okay.
What I want to point out here, though, is we want the objective to be real, right? So if as a group we're pursuing something different, then we need to stay that here. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying if we agree that we are going to do something different as a group, then that's what we should update the objective. That was my point.
All right. So I see what you're saying there. You're saying that if we're going to try to train and find a couple of VSOs ourselves somehow, we have the rules we came up against, but if we can figure that out, then we ought to put that in this objective also.
Exactly. And then we got to measure ourselves against that, right? So we can see, are we being successful or not?
Right. I have no problem with that. That's a good thing to add. And we could even say, we understand what our objective was, and we're still continuing in that vein, but we're also trying to ensure we get a VSO there by coming up with our own VSO.
Right. I don't disagree with any of that. That's we'll flesh it out in the next topic. But yeah, that's whatever we come up with as out of these VSO discussion, we should feed it back into this item so it's accurate.
Yep, I agree.
I think in terms of people here, again, I would ask you guys to think about. I know Gail in the past has kind of been in this space. Vern's been in this space. I know, Debbie, you're bringing up the next agenda item. So we don't have to solve it right this second, but the people who want to focus here, I think, again, it's going to be important that we identify who wants to be responsible for driving this and that those folks work together. So we as a group stay in lockstep on what we're trying to do. And I didn't mean to kill the conversation on that. I don't know.
You're not, but before the conversation continues, I'm going to apologize. Today's kind of my first day back in the office, and if you were following the case rates, you know that essentially in the past 3 weeks they tripled.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to drop off the call.
Okay.
But I will catch up with all of you as soon as I can.
Thanks,
My
Sean.
apologies.
Thanks, Sean.
Take care, Sean.
Take care.
Okay, let's move on to the job fair. Again, this one I think we put on hold because of COVID. The thing I know Carmen and Kim, you guys were trying to drive it. Carmen's gone now. So to me, it begs the question of, what do we want to say about it? Is it just something that, well, I'll pause there.
All right, so here's what I think we ought to do on the job fair, because I still think that it is something that is really important for us to do. And so what I think we ought to do is explore the opportunities with local employers to participate in the job fair for veterans. That's a great way to do it. However, we ought to explore the partnerships with others, such as the chamber. And I'll just tell you right now, I am the new chairman of the board of the chamber this year. So we are at the chamber going to have a job fair type thing too. And I've already talked with most of the chamber board about this, in that we partner with the Veterans Commission to bring in the type of, to bring in the veterans into the job fair. But it basically, make it kind of a priority to get out to the veterans. But it'll be an open job fair. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So open to the community, but we would partner with the Veterans Commission the chamber would partner with the Veterans Commission in order to make it a priority to get it out to the veterans somehow. And in that way, the chamber can help promote it. And they can get sponsor businesses from around Lake Stevens, because they're already going to be, we'll have sponsors for it already, and that's going to help us with the the monetary part of it, like paying for the mill, for instance, those kinds of things. We have tentatively set a date for that. I think it's in June, I believe. So I just believe that what we ought to do is just partner with the chamber, and we've got cross pollination on both boards, being that I'm the cross pollinator.
So Kim, is this something that you want to be driving? It sounds like you're driving it from both sides, which is great, but I'm wondering, do we put your name on this, or?
Oh yeah, put my name on it, but I could use some help on the veteran side.
Hey, Kim, I'll do it.
All right, Dennis,
help you
that'd
out.
be great.
Great.
And Chair and Kim, this is actually that partnership with the chamber is a great model, probably for everything we do, that if at all possible, we don't go it alone.
Right.
Just because there's synergy and people still want to help veterans and people are civic minded, et cetera, et cetera.
And one of the important parts about that is, we in the chamber, we can help get the information about who the chamber or who the veteran owned businesses are and things like that, or who employs a lot of veterans. We've sent out surveys to our people. We have it on their membership renewal and membership, new members. Are you a veteran owned business, or do you hire veterans? That's a question that's asked and they answer. So I have that in a database. I can look it up and say, who's who. The problem with that is we're changing over databases to a new system and a new website right as we speak, and that hasn't been accomplished yet in that particular system, but it can be. So I think we're partnering with them already. That we are on the. I know Matt Tabor, the CEO of the chamber, is already apprised of that and looking at that. He asks people those questions. He looks for it. So partnering with the chamber, like Kurt says, it's an important thing to do.
Yep. Okay, great. I will, I've made the notes here. I'll draft the words, and Kim and Dennis, when I send this back out, take a look at them. If you want to change anything, just let me know. And I think this one we're in good shape for, a plan.
Okay.
Okay, moving into the next category. There's 3 left. I know this is going long, so I'll try to keep things going here. Purple Heart City. I think my name is on that. I dropped the ball. I think it's pretty clear what we need, right? We need a plan with the Public Works Department that has a schedule that we can measure ourselves against. And how we get that is I think the next step.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna have to speak again. Public Works is in a little bit of disarray right now. They have lost some people to COVID. Right now we have the Public Works Director is on administrative leave. So there's some issues at Public Works that we'd have to get around. However, I do know that coming this coming spring here pretty quick, they're going to be out doing some things like GISing all of our signs. So basically I'll have a GIS label on every sign in the city. And I think that we could go ahead and get the Purple Heart signs put up pretty quickly. They've already done most, if not all of the new signs throughout the city anyway. I think there's quite a few left to go really, but they've done a lot of them. And we can get those out. So I will bring this up to Aaron, who is he's the interim Public Works Director, and see it. Hey, when you guys got out there looking at signs, can we get these things up? I still personally have one of those signs it's in my van. Actually, I think it's in my garage now. I just need to get it back to the Public Works. Remember, we were going to take a picture of it with us. I don't think we ever did.
Yeah.
So we still have that opportunity if we want to do that, because I still have that sign. There is one sign up over on Machias, no, not Machias. What's that road?
Yeah, Machias.
Yeah, Machias. So that we do have one up, but I will get it on Aaron's radar. He probably doesn't know anything about it. So I'll get it back on Aaron's radar.
All right, thanks, Kim. And
I'm in conversation with him anyway because of different things about Aquafest and things like that.
Great. I don't mind leaving my name on this because, quite honestly, I dropped the ball in terms of, I knew there was a lot
what I was trying to say, Kevin, is you didn't drop the ball because the ball would never have been picked up anyway at the Public Works level. So this is one of those things that's taking some time. And right now, pushing is not going to help anything.
Right. No, we just need to get a realistic date so that we don't say to the council it's going to be done in a month if it's going to take 10 months. Again, to me, well, I think we've beaten this one.
What I would say in the completion target on that is ongoing with Public Works support.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to business recognition. Again, I've been working on this. I think it's important. We keep doing it. There's a lot of room for improvement. I don't know if anyone else wants to get involved. That's super. But I don't plan on, at this point, it's a little bit dying on the vine. Again, as we talked about, we could partner better with the chamber. And those are the kind of things I think we need to keep doing.
Yeah, Kim, didn't you just say that Matt's kind of has the whole veteran employer on the radar? Have we actually reached out to them at all?
No, they don't reach out to them for that. What they're doing because I asked them to do it was to find out, have people putting whether they're a veteran-owned business or veteran supporting business. I can bring up the database and look and see how many there are. And last time I looked, there was, I don't know, a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of them that actually filled out I'm a veteran or whatever. So I can look at that and see where we're at. And of course, when we bring up the new website, we're going to have that back again, and hopefully we can backfill that. The other thing the chamber is trying to do is get another person hired, part-time person hired, so they can go backfill some of the missing pieces of data in our database. By calling a member and asking questions so they can fill it in. And one of the questions they could ask is, are you veteran owned or do you hire veterans?
So for the next item, and sorry, I don't mean to be jumping along, but I know we've got more we want to talk about beyond the work plan. Community events is just a catch-all, right, for all the other things that we had done. And I think a reasonable update is just our participation continues to be restricted by COVID. This is certainly something we want to continue to do.
Right.
And I think, responsibility here is multiple people. Depends on what's going on. In the past, we don't have problems with people stepping forward saying, hey, I'll be responsible for that. So I don't know that we need to, as a group, call out individual names unless you guys feel otherwise. So before we move on to this next item, let me just ask, is there anything people want to add? Is there anything, that, are we missing anything? Let me just pause there.
I believe you've pulled all the things that I could remember together, and I'm feeling comfortable with what you have, Kevin.
Okay, good. All right, thanks, Fran. If anyone thinks of anything, let's bring it up at the next meeting. We may miss it for the council update, but certainly we want to talk about it and as a group and start doing it if it's important. This item here, I thought, and I may be wrong here. So again, guys, correct me if I'm out of line. But we had talked about the concerns that on a couple of meetings of the War Memorial, and my thought was, it's not part of our work plan, but if we wanted to bring it up to the council, this was my stab at how we could approach it. So I guess this is a two-part thing for you guys to think about. One is, do we want to say anything? And if the answer to that is yes, that we feel we have a responsibility to bring these concerns forward, then we should review this and edit this statement. My thought, it would be a separate concern item that we'd try to talk to after we present the work plan. So thoughts?
All right, I'm going to jump in again. I believe that this is another partnership opportunity and we ought to partner with the Legion on this. I also think that it ought to be brought up to the council because the city built the War Memorial. They paid for the War Memorial, and there is no money anywhere for replacement of flags. The War Memorial Board and the Legion together used to take care of the War Memorial, and that meant the flags, the lights, the plantings, the water system, the whole 9 yards. They took care of all that, and the city had nothing to do with it unless we absolutely needed help from the city, which didn't happen very often. That has gone away. The War Memorial Board is defunct. The monies from that has gone to the Legion as prescribed by the bylaws of the War Memorial Board. And so there's nobody taking care of this. The other problem of having the Space Force on there is something that needs to be addressed. I don't think it's something that needs to be addressed, like it's with our hair on fire or anything, but it needs to be addressed. And how could we possibly do that? We already have a couple of ideas about that, but it needs to be addressed. So my concern would be to go to the council and get it understood that somebody needs to pay for their flags. They need replaced twice a year, I believe. Is that right, Vern?
Replaced what now?
We replace the flags twice a year.
Yeah, as needed, but twice is usually about right.
And we haven't replaced them since the War Memorial opened.
That's correct.
So I think that we ought to get, maybe we need to look and see whether the prices, I'm pretty sure we can find that out because we've got people in the Legion that know how to get those prices and where we bought them from.
We can get that.
Yeah, if we could get that and go to them with this is what it'll cost. It also could be that the foundation takes that on as a monetized problem that for them, they maybe later on, but I think it needs to be taken care of by the city right now.
Mhm.
So, you know, those are all the kinds of the discussions that need to be done, but I think it ought to be mentioned, maybe not as in great detail, but as our concerns as you've put it here on this piece of paper, basically.
So aside from the War Memorial Committee or Commission that was with the old War Memorial, they had nothing to do with the new one. And that was all city and public funds. Is there a reason why the city hasn't kind of taken this on and put it into their budget to take care of?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just kind of neglected to even think about it.
Okay, okay.
I mean, it's not something that's on their mind, right? They
So-
take care of the park. They're taking care of the plantings. They take care of all that, but the flags are just not on their mind.
So it's something we bring to their attention.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's an oversight issue, not an intentional.
Yeah, it's not intentional. It's not intentional at all. But I just I don't think that anybody's actually brought it up to them. I have not brought it up to them. And I truly believe that it ought to be the commission or the foundation that actually does the monetary part of that. It can't be the commission to do the monetary part, but the foundation certainly could. But the commission is the one that's in the driver's seat of getting this up to the council.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kim, here's why I need to ask you to think a little bit about your different hats, right? So in this meeting, we're the commission, I think our role is to bring it to the council's attention. Who funds it and all that is probably a council discussion of how they, we could have an opinion, but it's really going to be the council to hash that part out of.
That's true. And what I'm thinking is what we need to do is bring it up to the council as the commission and say, look, the flags should be replaced every 6 months. They haven't been replaced since we put the memorial into commission, and that needs to be taken care of. And then the council is going to need to say, whether they, go to the staff, and really what we should say is, here's how much it costs. And somebody on the council could make an motion to, do a line item budget request to just make it happen. And then as the foundation, the foundation should step up basically and take this on as soon as they can. We don't need to bring that up to the council, but just as the overall conversation should go, I think the foundation is the one that should do it in partnership with the Legion.
And I'll take on the objective of finding out the cost and what would be entailed with that part, and get that reported back.
Okay.
Is this something that if the commission and or the Legion has a part of, that we need to get some sort of a signed agreement between the city and the different entities in regards to taking care of it?
That's a good question. At this point, I don't think so. I think this should be a discussion item we just bring up to the council to make them aware of it.
Okay.
And then that discussion is going to go probably from Sean, myself, and Marcus to keep on the forefront of the council's mind.
And I guess, so that's the second bullet, right, of the 3 bullets we've been kind of talking about. And I'm trying to zero in on if we're going to bring this up, in February when I'm presenting this, to make sure, again, I want to say the words that you guys want, right? So the first bullet was brought up about a concern of public events. Do we still want to raise that to the council's awareness?
Yeah, it's been raised to the council's awareness. I was very adamant about it. However, we do want to raise that concern from the commission. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we do too. And it's interesting because it has a prominence in that park, which draws people to it. However, it's not a park bench. It's not the sandbox. And so, there's, I think anyone's being malicious. I just think they're unaware and unconcerned, et cetera, that this is a special place in the park. And, you know, whether or not the city wants to put bollards or put signage up, I don't know that it's in the commission's position or appropriate for them to go that far, other than to mention that this is a concern.
Right. So Kurt, let me put you on the spot a little bit of, I guess that's the third paragraph, right? So, you know, do we drop the third paragraph in your view, or to leave it up there as like, you know, floating the idea and just leave it on paper and not talk to it? Or do you have thoughts there?
I guess it would depend on how the flow of the meeting goes. Often these things turn into a conversation between the chair of the commission and one or two of the council members and or the mayor. If it goes there and the conversation, it seems right, then yeah, maybe you could say, yeah, you know, we've thought of bollards and signage, but that's really something that, you know, the public works department knows best how to recognize a concern and then mitigate it.
Right. So
that's how
I think that the easiest way for us to do this is to mention it. And, you know, if they did want our ideas on it, the only idea that we really had was you got an events coordinator that has to coordinate these events.
Yeah.
And in their guidance for their events, this ought to be a major paragraph that they talk about to the event coordinator of the like Aquafest, for instance. I'm going to be starting to sit down with the city every month now for Aquafest planning. And in that planning situation with any of the other entities that would have any events like a farmer's market or whatever, it ought to be brought up to them that, hey, this is a sacrosanct place and thou shalt not, you know, do bad things to our memorial. Don't plan on anything around our memorial.
right. Okay. So
Yeah.
what I do is we cut the third paragraph out. We might raise it verbally if the opportunity is right, but it doesn't need to be written.
Yeah, and Kim's right. I think the contract between the city and the user is probably be helpful to have it mentioned in that contract, that use contract.
Right.
But now I'm going to go back to you is if you want us to say that, or
No, we don't want you to say that. I think Kurt was right. Let's see what comes out of it.
okay, I'm totally good with that. So when I republish this to you guys to look at, we'll just be missing the third paragraph. And then if there's other tweaks anyone wants, please send me an email and we'll update it so that everyone can see the changes and review it next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
So on your third bullet there, the future planning, I can see that the commission could be involved in the planning of how to change the memorial to include the sixth service, but I don't think we need to mention that right now. It's just that, okay, we see that there's that we have some responsibility, or we see something that needs to be done because we've now added a sixth service that wasn't thought of when we designed the memorial, even though the service was in service at that point. I think we just missed it. So we need to somehow say that the memorial needs to be changed in the future to include the Space Force. So I don't know how you want to say that.
Well, and my thought was, I guess what I was thinking, if I'd be saying the words, is what we're trying to point out to the council is it's more than just a line item budget for new flags. That this is a living, breathing memorial and it's going to be subject to change, and there's going to be a planning component of that in the future. And here's an example of why.
Okay. Yep. It's good.
Okay. I don't need to cover this. Kelly, it's good you showed it, but I think it's good for all of us to think ahead. We talked about it briefly that hopefully we'd be towards the end of February. One of the council meetings, I think, is the 23rd is an actual meeting date. I think that would be convenient for us. We'd be ready to speak to them by then if we could get on the agenda then.
That'd be the 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And that would give us the first meeting in February to sort of finalize this stuff. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about on our work schedule, our work plan, our work priorities, anything in that before we move on? Thank you. This is always grueling to go through work plans, but appreciate it. Okay, Deb, I think I want to turn this over to you for the discussion on the VSO program. If that's not right, someone else jump in. I think this came out of Vern and Debbie were going to talk with Gail or something like that from the last meeting. Is that?
Yeah, that didn't happen, and I can at least get the conversation started. I don't remember how much we spoke about this at the last at our last meeting, but I know we've had conversations a few times now at the coffee clashes about. I personally thought that I would like to do the training, that I would like to get certified. And then there was another gentleman that's been coming past a couple of coffee clashes. His name is Chad. He was like, I'd like to do it too. And I have more availability during the week. He has more availability during the weekend. So we're like, great, let's get certified. So I started looking into how to do it. And it's not as easy as just saying, I want to get certified. I had Kelly forward you all, and sorry, it was really last minute tonight, a response I received from a second email, a clarifying email I sent to this Stephen Gill at the VA about how one goes about getting certified. So basically, if you're part of the American Legion, part of the VFW, if you're one of the, I believe one of the officers, they will provide certification training. He did clarify a little bit more that the training that they do is actually open to the public and anyone's willing to join, but you can't get certified. The other people that are able to get certified are on county, state, and tribal levels of employment. And Kim brought up a good question when we were at the coffee clutch. When I brought that up, he's like, well, what about city employees? I'm like, oh, I didn't even think to ask. So I had sent a clarification email, and he basically said, no, if the city has funding available, they can actually contract with a county VSO to provide services. Yeah, I know. They don't make it easy. He agrees they do not make it easy. So someone like myself wanting to help out and get certified really sounds like it's a no-go as far as I've seen so far. So that then brings us back to, will we have funds at the city level to be able to contract with a county VSO? And are there any county VSOs available to contract for Lake Stevens?
So do these rules come from the VA?
Yes,
Damn.
I know.
So Debbie,
Mhm.
what happens if someone, let's say someone named Debbie, goes through the training and they, for the lack of a better word, act in that capacity? Are there consequences?
I think as long as someone were not to promote themselves as a certified VSO or even a VSO, it'd probably be more of a veteran liaison or veteran information, whatever terminology, and not be called a VSO. So sharing of information, I don't think is going to get anyone into trouble. It would be if someone were to call themselves a veteran service officer
Right.
and not be certified.
I'm not suggesting that.
No, I know, but
is there a way to provide the carrots without being a chef, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, the problem, we wouldn't have access to the database of the stuff
Very
that
true.
the VSOs use, because you've
Right.
got to have a key for that.
Got it.
Goes into your laptop, and all that stuff. But I am curious of a couple, I mean, it's a great idea. I always like to ask forgiveness instead of get permission. But I think there's another key here that we could, there's another organization we can reach out to for help on this.
Okay.
And it's the Lacey Veteran Services Hub down in Lacey. Remember those guys, Kurt?
I do. We met him down in Olympia about 4 years ago.
Yeah, we met him down in Olympia. So I'm not convinced that the Veterans Association or the Veterans Administration would not allow a Veterans Commission or a Veterans Foundation access to this training and use of it. And I'm thinking that the people in Lacey could help us out with that and telling us what's right and what's wrong on that. I mean, you might be getting, the book version of what it's supposed to be, but I'll bet there's something going on because there's more veterans commissions being formed.
Mhm.
And if I'm to understand that right, in other places in the country. And the VA gave us money to start the commission. So there's something not quite right here. It just doesn't make sense that the Veterans Commission in a city can't do this.
Yeah. The other little bit of information that was kind of a little disheartening, but also probably a fallout from COVID, is that they don't even have any training scheduled for 22 yet.
No,
I know we're very early into 22, but normally these things are scheduled months in advance, and they have
Sure,
nothing on the books yet.
and I can understand that, but still, I mean, the base question is, can we do it or can't we?
Mhm.
So we need to get that answered, and I really think we ought to reach out to help for help. And I think getting a hold of Lacey, the people in Lacey, would be the best way to do it. And I'd have to look through some of my records, see if I could find the contact down there.
I think there's another avenue as well, and I apologize. I froze up twice in that conversation. So if this is a repeat, I'm sorry, but we really need to reach out to Gail because her friend is the VSO who's been coming up here. They have a personal relationship, and that woman was very helpful in telling us what needed to be done. Because I was on a similar mission, Debbie, about 2 years ago, thinking like, well, I could do this training, and getting the training done is like the tip of the iceberg, as I learned to find out. So, there's a lot of issues that I don't want to rain on the parade, but I think if we talk to someone who's in the business, we'll understand that it's bigger than probably we're going to be able to take on. And the path of partnering with an organization that has VSOs and funds VSOs and figuring out how to get them money and space, entice someone to come here is probably an easier path than taking on all the liabilities of becoming a VSO ourselves.
At that point, then we need to pivot and figure out, we're probably going to pay for that person, and then you have to figure out how to pay for that person.
Right. And I think that was the original concept, right? And again, this woman had ideas of, there are county-based funds already for VSOs. They're in Everett. There's things we could be doing that doesn't necessarily mean we fund a whole body.
Well, one of the things I could do also then is I could reach out to the Military Affairs Committee, which I happen to be on, for the county. I'm on the County Military Affairs Committee. And I'll ask that question. It's like, okay, is there funds available from the county to be able to pay for VSOs? And
Right.
we actually have a meeting coming up. So we haven't met in 2 years, but now we're going to meet.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, I think if we reach out to this woman too, we'll get a lot of good answers. I mean, because her intent was that Gail and Vern were going to be sort of, I'll say, helpers, right? Go through the training and be able to help. She'd have the official access to the database, be the record VSO, and that would, either we get someone else that does that job, or we fund her organization to have her come up a couple, whatever we fund for days of the week, or get funding to them, whether it comes through the county or us. But there's ways to skin this cat without us sort of taking the whole thing on ourselves.
Yeah. Vern, would you be able to get a hold of Gail and maybe see if we could get this gal to maybe join one of our next meetings?
Yes, I can get a hold of her. In fact, she sent me a text saying that she had to take her son into the ER. And that's the reason she didn't sign in.
Okay.
But I'll talk with her. We'll have a little discussion. I did talk to her friend because I had a veteran that was in need, and she gave me a special phone number that goes right into her office, and he could call her and set things up. So she's still very active, this gal, but she works in an office in Seattle.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, at least since I've been on the commission, and it's been a year now, I've not seen her. I've just heard of her. I mean, I know she exists, but it'd be nice if maybe she were able to take a few minutes and actually talk with us at the meeting and maybe update us on her professional thoughts.
Perhaps we could do that, and I'll talk with Gail and we'll see if we can't set that up.
Thank you.
All right, the Military Affairs Committee is not the counties. I'm sorry, I was wrong about that. It actually belongs to the Economic Alliance of Snohomish County, so EASC. It's one of their committees, the same as the Transportation Committee that I'm also on. But they are meeting now, and it's going to start next Monday, and it'll be the second Monday of every month. It used to be quarterly, now it's going to go to monthly.
Well,
And
the
I am-
EASC is a good partner too, Kim.
What was that?
The EASC would be a great partner.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a great partner. There's no doubt about that. You're right. So anyway, I am on that committee. I've already accepted the invitation to that meeting. It is a Zoom call, so I'll be on those meetings. And basically, I made the Military Affairs Committee aware of us, the commission, a couple of years ago when we were still meeting. So they're, at that time, were aware of us, but then COVID hit and we,
Yeah.
there's been no conversations for two years. So I will get us back in the saddle for the Military Affairs Committee.
Good.
Great.
So I'll ask the question about VSO and hey, we need some help here. And there's a lot of people on this. Some of them are in the military. There's a bunch of people from different cities on there. Mayor Brett Gailey's on there. I don't know if he's invited or he didn't put, he's tentative right now as accepting this meeting. Mr. Timmons is I think Mr. Timmons is a ex-master chief on the base. He's been active with the Military Affairs Committee for quite a while. So we'll see what we can get. Maybe they can help out with, hey, is there funding available someplace that you guys know about that we don't? And oh, by the way, this is what the Lake Stevens Veterans Commission is doing. We have a space for a VSO in Lake Stevens. So, let them know about that. So I will do that on Monday.
Good.
Any other conversation on this VSO program item?
Sounds like we each need to follow up with some thoughts and get back together on it next opportunity.
Right. And in the spirit of what we were talking about before, feel free if it's too hard to get her to come to our next meeting, she could meet with you guys, on the side, and then you can update the rest of the group. I think speed is our friend on this one if we can reach these subject matter experts.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on to new business. Deb, I saw you sent out something the other day about some training coming up. Did you want to mention that at all?
Actually, I just, it's one of those things I've been, between my work and trying to niche down on kind of military community and help my sense of wanting to help, my Facebook post, a lot of the sponsored stuff comes across is all military related. And this one, I think it was the Washington State VA. It's some training on veteran cultural competence and ETS or EAS sponsorship training. Just more information to have and just, to be able to share and kind of send out. I did register, but registering meant applying. So I had to fill out this big long thing to apply to even do the training. But I did send it out to all of you guys if anyone's interested. It's in February 10th and 11th. So that's it.
It sounded like that was going to be virtual as well as.
It is. It is. Yeah, you could drive down if you wanted to, but they're offering it virtually.
I think that from what I've read so far, the ETS and EAS training is different than the VSO.
Yeah, no, it is.
For
It
different
is, but it was
things
just
and-
more information.
Yeah, they're for different things. And it wouldn't be bad to learn more about what they do to start with.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be accepted. We'll see. I haven't heard anything back, but I guess you apply.
Yeah, I think I'm back from being frozen.
Okay, so one more new business that I'd like to throw in there is the Youth Advisory Council is going to be calling you, Kevin, soon. I would assume that they want it. What they're doing is they're reaching out to all of the organizations in Lake Stevens, Rotary, Kiwanis, the Legion, everybody, the Lions, and they're introducing themselves and letting us know what they're about. So look for that to come up. We'd like to invite them into a Zoom call with us, or if we ever get back into person, to have them come to one of our meetings. But I gave them the information on who to contact, new president, Kevin McLarnon, and hey, there they go. So they have your email, they have your phone number.
Great, great.
Should we be doing that same thing?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Do
I
you
think
mean-
we talked about that a couple of years ago.
What do you mean, Kurt? Why don't you spell that out a little more?
Well, you or I, or both of us, just go to the Rotary and the Lions and all the different community interest groups and say, this is who we are and this is what we do. Have our 5-10 minute speech, and it's just part of raising that awareness. Kim's right. We did talk about that initially, but we just never did it. And certainly there's value in it.
So, sounds like a new initiative that there'd be value in doing.
No, it's part of the work plan, right? Raising the awareness.
Raising the awareness. It's one of the pillars, right? Yeah.
It's a pillar. Yeah, I know where to fit it in. We'll just slot it in as a new initiative. Yep. I think it adds value.
It's
Actually,
a new task.
if we've never done it, it's probably worth doing.
No, we've been talked about, but we've never introduced ourselves. I mean, I know I talked about us at the Rotary one time when I went in there for other things. I also talked about the Youth Advisory Council, but the Youth Advisory Council, being the way they are, the kids, which are doing much better than most of the adults around here, are just making things happen, and they just go. And so that's one of their initiatives that they're doing. And I think that Kurt's right. We should reach out and do the same thing.
Yep, I'm going to add that to our initiative list. And Kurt, I'm going to put your name and my name there.
Sounds good.
You may even be first.
That's fine with me.
Okay, that was a good one, Kim. Anything else?
I wanted to ask real quick, hey, Kelly, do we have shirts yet?
No.
Okay.
We're actually transitioning out. Well, we're looking into possibly using a local apparel company now. So we're in a little bit of a delay, but I didn't think that was too bad because you guys aren't out there right now with COVID.
No. I guess we haven't talked about it for
I
a
know.
couple meetings, so just curious.
There isn't time tonight to even get into all of the things that have come up over these shirts. It's been just one thing after another, but it's gonna happen, and more to come. I'll try to report something next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kevin, you're muted.
Thank you. If there's no more new business, let's move on to agenda items for the next meeting. One of the things I wanted to just cover quickly here, because I don't know in the 3 years that I've been on the group that this ever got explicitly said, but Debbie raised a question about like, well, is it too late to get an agenda item? And it caused me to reach out to Kelly to say, well, we really don't have any, I don't think, plan or guidance to the group. So I'm going to float this as sort of a working model. And that is that I think we've got a standing agenda that we use pretty much every meeting that has new business as one of the agenda items. So everyone should feel free that, that's what that's for, is to bring up things that weren't formally on the agenda. Probably by Robert's rules, we can't act on any of those new things. We can't take, votes to spend money, not that we have any money to spend or things like that, but anything can go in that new business area. If for some reason there needs to be an agenda item that we would need to act on, like in the meeting, I think I'm going to propose a good working thing would be to try to get it to Kelly like 4 business days in advance, right? That gives her time to ask any questions she needs to, get it on the agenda, and also publish it and meet the Open Public Meetings Act, which requires us to have 24 hours notice.
Yeah, or Kelly, is there a way that you do like the rest of the commissions or the council or any of the other things? Is there like a standing way that you do a deadline for an agenda?
Yes, but we have 4 council meetings a month, so we meet weekly and we set the agenda for the next meeting. This is a little different in the once a month, but I like Kevin's idea. And certainly I set the agenda from this meeting for next meeting. And I haven't really
Like for
had,
any additions during the month, like
Yeah.
if something comes up before the next meeting that we feel it needs to actually have its own line item.
yeah, I think reaching out to Kevin and then Kevin relaying that to me, as long as it's 4 business days ahead of time, works great for me.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm not muted, frozen. I'm happy with people reaching to Kelly directly and just copying Kurt and I, just as an awareness thing. I mean, my sense is any member can ask for something to be on the agenda. I'm not a gatekeeper.
Okay.
But just so I'm not surprised, or if Kurt's running the meeting, he's not surprised by something on the agenda. I don't know. Kim, you're in a lot more of these meetings than me, and Kurt, you've got a lot more history. So if I'm saying, I don't want to make this cumbersome. My concern is make sure that Kelly has plenty of time, because I know, as I said to her, even though this is the most exciting part of her week, I'm sure she's got other responsibilities too.
Well, I do know that sometimes the president of the council is brought in on, hey, do you want this on the agenda or not? This came up from another council member type thing, but that doesn't happen very often, and things are added to the agenda that, the president of the council is not aware of.
And at the beginning of the meeting, things are added.
And we do take our agenda and say, yeah, we can add things to the agenda, or we can take it away, we can change it from consent to action or discussion or those kinds of things. And, we're not there. We're not doing that in our commission meeting. Other commissions do it that way. But we're not doing that. So I don't think it's a big deal. Kelly can just reach out, put it up to, hey, Daughtry again brings something new up to the damn agenda and he's changing it. You need to be aware of it. That kind of thing.
Yep.
So I don't really think it needs to go through the president. At first I thought, yeah, you at least need to be informed of it. I don't know, you need to be the gatekeeper, say, yeah, we're not putting that on the agenda.
Right. I don't want to be in that role. If it turns out to be, there's 2,000 things on every agenda, well, maybe we revisit it, but I don't think we have that problem.
So that would just be a CC Kevin and CC Kurt, or every once in a while when I send stuff to Kelly, it's like I keep thinking like, who should I also be adding to this email?
Well, first off, let me say that we know from a meeting today that Kelly's not a very busy person. So just giving her the email, and having her take care of the CC to Kurt and Kevin would probably be fine.
Kelly, how do you feel? What would work best for you?
I think that's fine. I mean, we do have to, think about the OPMA and a serial meeting, and it's probably not a good idea to be emailing back and forth, even with just a few members. So I'm fine being the person that it funnels through, and do it the way we've been doing it, but certainly whatever you guys prefer.
Let's go with that. And then if it becomes problematic, if it's a hassle for you, just let us know and we'll switch it.
Yeah. No, it's certainly not. And I like to keep a record too of all that's going back and forth with you guys. So it's helpful for me.
Okay. So in terms of the next meeting, I think we need to finalize this work plan for sure. My goal would be to, through Kelly, we'll distribute a couple of iterations, at least one iteration and maybe more in the meantime, so that hopefully we won't have to spend an hour and a half finalizing it. It'll be kind of thing that we're close to it when we get to the meeting. So I would urge for the people who volunteered for or identified the areas they want to be responsible for, send me some wording that to put, so I can put it into the draft and get it to Kelly to distribute to everyone, if you're not comfortable with the words that are there already.
Did we get a copy of that sent to us already? Because I'm missing it somehow.
Yeah, I went out last Thursday, I think, from Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh, it did? Okay, that's my fault then. I'll look for it, and if I can't find it, I'll get a hold of Kelly and,
Yeah, no worries. And there'll be another one coming out, so.
oh, here it is. I got it. I found it. One of the things that I'd like to add to the agenda for next time is a debrief of the Military Affairs Committee. Keep you all up to date what's going on with that committee.
And I think we should have a VSO update as well. If, you know, and you guys can tell us if make it as however you want, if it's going to be someone coming to the meeting. The only thing I would ask is let's make sure we have enough time to get the work plan done, right? Because at this point, we'll probably be on a deadline to speak to the council at the end of the month.
Yeah, I don't see that as a problem.
The coffee clutch can come off for now, and I don't, do you want me to send something out through the foundation Facebook page about how we're gonna kind of suspend for the next couple of months, just with the COVID issues right now?
Well, we probably should, because we do have people watching for it.
Yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and do that, but then we don't really need to have it on as a discussion item for next month at least.
Right. We might want to just cancel this meeting and then play it month by month.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'll try to remember to get a hold of Marcus and tell him that we're not going to be there for Buzz. He can tell Buzz in.
Kim, I can just do that too. You've got about a gazillion things on your plate. I can reach out to Marcus and just let him know.
All right, thank you.
Okay, great. And then anything else anyone wants to add?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Wait a minute, you can't second that. Okay.
I think I can. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
I'm not sure I want to ask if anyone's opposed. All right, motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for your help.
Kelly.
Hi,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Happy
You're
New-
welcome. Have a good
Take
night.
care.